In this video, we will look at how to calculate the standard deviation for a sample using the Casio FX CG50, as well as how to find the number of students, or rather the ages of students, within a certain number of standard deviations from the mean. In this case, we're looking for one standard deviation from the mean. All right, so I have my Casio open here. We're going to press the menu button and then choose Option 2, Statistics, to bring up our lists. I have data from a prior example, so I'm going to press F6 once to bring up the Delete All option, and then press F1 to confirm. From here, I'm going to enter all of the ages of the students. It says in a 5th grade class, the teacher was interested in the average age and the sample standard deviation of the ages of her students. The following data are the ages for a sample of n equals 20 5th grade students. The ages are rounded to the nearest half year. I'm going to enter all of these data values into my first list, list 1. I'd suggest that you pause the video and do this along with me. So I have completed entering all of these data values. I can confirm this by noticing that there are 20 students in this 5th grade class. I have 20 values entered in, and my 21st value is blank. All right, so let's go through this just a little bit more detail now. The teacher was interested in the average age and the sample standard deviation of the ages. All right, so we know it's a sample because it says sample standard deviation. So we are looking for X bar, and we are looking for S. X bar is the sample mean, and S is the sample standard deviation. Now, the standard deviation is essentially just the typical amount of change. It's a value that represents the average change from the mean. So we're going to calculate these two values, again, using our Casio FX CG50. We need to go back to the main menu here, so we're going to press F6 twice, and then look for Calc, which is F2. You may have to just double check your settings. In this case, prior examples, we may have used a frequency list. If we have, make sure that we change our frequency list back to the number 1, because we have represented each data value once in our list. We don't need to worry about a frequency list. If we had this as a 2-column X and frequency column list, then we might want to change this. But if you need to do this, highlight frequency list and press 1 or F1 to make that happen. From here, we're going to hit exit once, and then we're going to press 1 var F1, and it will give us both the sample mean of 10.525 and the sample standard deviation. In the Casio calculator, they use the letter X to represent the first variable. Again, your calculator is capable of doing a 2-variable calculation. So it just uses either the letter X or the letter Y to signify which variable we are working with. In this case, we're using just the first variable. So SX is what we're looking for, and this represents the sample standard deviation. I'm going to round this to 3 place values, but you can round this to whatever number of place values you need. I'm doing that because the sample mean was given to us in 3 place values, so we'll do the same thing with the sample standard deviation. So 0.715 with an 8 after it rounds to 716. All right, so now the second part of the question asks us to find the ages of the students that are within 1 standard deviation of the mean. So essentially what we're going to do here is take the mean value and add 1 standard deviation to it, plus 1 standard deviation, and we will take the mean and subtract 1 standard deviation from it. I'll show that calculation right here. We'll take 10.525, which again is the sample mean, and we will add 1 standard deviation to it, which would be plus 1 times 0.716. We don't really need this 1 because it's only a 1, but if it was 2 standard deviations or some fraction of a standard deviation, we can include that multiplication factor out front. In order to do this in the Casio calculator, we need to hit Menu and then press number 1. If you'd like to delete this, we can press F2, have a nice clean screen, press F2 to delete all, and F1 to confirm. I have a nice clean screen to work with. So from here we can press 10.525 plus 0.716, execute, and that will give us the age that is 1 standard deviation above the mean. I'll write that here. Age that is 1 standard deviation above the mean. And then we can do the same calculation, but just subtraction. So to find the age that is 1 standard deviation below the mean. So we'll do x bar minus 1 times s. X bar again is 10.525, and we will subtract 1 times 0.716. Again, if this was asking for 2 standard deviations or some fraction of a standard deviation, we could change the multiplication factor. But in this case, 1 times anything is just itself. So we will do the same thing we just entered, which is 10.525 Oh my goodness, I am messing this all up. $10.525 minus 0.716. I accidentally hit that twice. And we will get the age that is 1 standard deviation below the mean, which is 9.809. This is the age that is 1 standard deviation below the mean.